Hey guys, it's Pat with Off Pavement. Hey, a couple of weeks ago I put out a teaser about installing an all aluminum radiator in the XJ. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. Now I want to talk about the benefits of an all aluminum fully welded radiator. Almost all XJs and most newer vehicles use a radiator that has an aluminum core and plastic side tanks. And those plastic side tanks are held to the core with some tabs that basically wrap around and grab the tank and make the seal, keeping the tanks tight to the core. And there's some other braces that go along with that. Now that's fine in most street applications, but when you're dealing with a Jeep that's basically set up to go off-road as ours is, and we're running trails that are on the moderate to expert level, where there's a fair amount of flexing, if not a great deal of flexing, you're going to exasperate the situation by the mere fact that it's a unibody and the radiator is tied to that core support. So wherever the body flexes, the radiator is going to flex too. Now it's not flexing tremendous amounts. The deflection on it is probably minimal, but it's enough that over time you're going to start to see some failures in the seams where the plastic tanks meet that aluminum core. And as a result, you're going to get leaks and you're going to have issues. Now, I've replaced 2 of these OE radiators in the past 14 months, and they're from reputable companies. So it's not like I'm buying cheap junk or very inexpensive pieces. They're quality pieces. They're quality OE replacements. But because of the way we use our Jeep, we're starting to see issues with it. So what we have today is the Mishimoto all aluminum radiator. Let's get started and let's get this thing installed. So there you have it. We've got it installed now. Now I wasn't planning on doing a nut by nut, bolt by bolt R&R on this radiator. The R&R on this is so simple. I think it probably took us 2 hours to get this thing out and the new one in. This thing is the perfect OE replacement. Everything is there. It even has, if you're running an auto trans, it even has the high and low fittings for the transmission for the cooler. So it's a direct bolt in. The beauty is that, again, and I keep bringing this up, it's all aluminum. We've noticed that the tanks are a little bit larger, so we're getting just a little bit more volume in the tanks, left and right. And it's just a great looking unit. Now, we've already filled it with coolant. We've already taken it for a couple of test drives. Got most of the air out of the system. It usually takes about a day or two to get it circulated through there. And I've always kind of gone with the process of making sure that the recovery bottle has enough coolant in it so that when it's pressurizing and then depressurizing, it's able to draw coolant back in. So that's going to help with the bleeding the air out and getting the system full. That's kind of just always the way I've done it. You'll notice the temps kind of fluctuate for about a day as you're driving it, kind of, climb up a little bit and then go back down, but it should stabilize within, the first day of driving it. So that's what we've done. We've always done it that way, and it seems to work out really nice. I am pleased with it. We have seen some reductions in temps, about 5 to 7 degrees, which puts us right around 210. When we did our initial testing, it was about an 85-degree day. We tested a couple ways. Like I said, we tested with by recording data from the actual temp gauge on the dash. We recorded data with a infrared temperature gun that we picked up at Harbor Freight. Seems to be pretty accurate. And we've also used our OBD2 real-time scanner, which gives us real-time data off key points from the computer. And so we had that information prior to actually changing the radiator out. Now we've changed the radiator out. We've reestablished all of those data collection, the gauge, the infrared gun, and the onboard real-time data. And we are seeing reductions. We have seen it drop 7 to 8 degrees, which puts us right around 210. Which is the optimum operating temperature. We're not seeing any fluctuations anymore. As a matter of fact, the following day, the temperature outside, the ambient temperature outside, we're in the middle of a heat wave right now, jumped up to 115 degrees outside. And even running the AC, we were seeing temps right around 213 with the AC on and an ambient outdoor temperature of 115 degrees. So it is working, it is transferring heat, it is doing what it claims to do, and basically by design what it's supposed to do. So I am extremely happy with that there. Now, there are a couple of issues that it would not be fair for me to just go and say this is a great unit. I did have a couple of issues with it. Again, we paid for this, so this is not a paid endorsement. This is just my observations. Just a couple of things. One is the filler neck is, as far as the radiator cap goes, is not OE size. So what that means is that with their smaller radiator cap, if we're traveling somewhere and have an issue, we're not going to be able to run to a local parts store and buy an OE radiator cap should we need one. So I will need to buy an extra cap from Mishimoto to keep in the rig when we're out overlanding or when we're out jeeping, in case we have an issue, in case we have a failure with a cap. So I will need to do that. The other thing is that Chrysler design calls for a 16 PSI radiator cap. The one that's supplied with Mishimoto is a 19 PSI. Now, I know that has bearing on the boiling point of coolant. However, I don't know what other aspects or other areas that's going to affect, and that will be a call to Mishimoto later this week to talk with them a little bit about that. I think now my third issue, and the issue that I think really kind of bummed me out the most was, and I mentioned this earlier, is that they give you the option to run the system closed or open. And an open system basically means there's a recovery bottle, just like the OE design. Typically in a racing situation, you would run a closed coolant system. With the open system, you need to put in a threaded nipple to attach the coolant recovery hose to. Now, the neck is drilled and tapped with an NPT thread, or an NPT thread, as well as the nipple and the plug that comes with it as well. Now, I don't know if by putting Teflon tape on this thing is what caused the issue, but we had put a little Teflon tape on there, installed the nipple, put the radiator in place, and then when I went to install the electric fan, realized there wasn't enough clearance to get the fan past there. And so we went to pull the nipple out so we could get the clearance on the fan, and in the process of pulling the nipple out, pulled all the threads out of both the filler neck and off the nipple. So I did have to spend a little extra time cleaning the threads out, making sure we didn't lose any pieces down the neck, and then trying to recut some new threads. Unfortunately, they're not NPT, and did the best we could to get it cleaned up, got it threaded back in there. Unfortunately, in order to get it running, we had to install a little bit of JB Weld on there to get it in there and hold it in place so that we didn't lose that thing down the road. Kind of an unfortunate situation. At that point, I was not in a position to pull the radiator completely back out of this thing and send it back because of a couple of threads. So we did basically in the shop what would be considered a trail fix, and it seems to be holding up. I'm not sure. Again, that'll be something that I'll talk to Mishimoto about when I call them about the difference in pressure on the radiator cap. All in all, I think it's a great radiator. Would I recommend them again? Absolutely. I think it's a great product. I'm not going to let something simple like a couple of threads and a couple of PSI deter me from doing something. I think they're building a great radiator. I haven't had any issues with it. So far, everything is running as it should. I haven't lost that nipple off the filler neck, so that's still there. If we ever have to replace the electric fan or pull it out of there, then again, we'll just something we'll have to deal with when we get to that point. So, do I think they build a good product? Absolutely. In spite of the little issues, a couple of threads, and yeah, I wish it hadn't happened, and I wish it hadn't happened at the very end of the install, but it did. I think they build a great product. So we'll get her out on the trail and see how she does, and if we need to report back, well, we'll do that. Until then, hit that subscribe button. If you have a comment for us, put it below. We'd like to know what you think. I'm Pat with Off Pavement. We'll see you out on the trail.